What's going on YouTube? So for a period of time, Acura kind of lost touch with their performance roots. However, recent products have really been turning things around. And the most significant of those is right next to me, the all-new Type S TLX. This is the first Type S since 2008 and the first of a new generation of performance vehicles. But the question remains, is this legitimately fun? Let's jump right in and find out. All right, so let's kick things off here with the exterior, where you can certainly tell right from the start that this is the most aggressive version of the TLX ever. So up here in the front, you're basically gonna build off of what you already get with the A-Spec version. So you're gonna have a gloss black finished grille here with the signature diamond pentagon shape. However, we do have what Acura calls an open surface finish, so it looks a little bit different with this kind of mesh. And then of course you can't forget, you got the big and prominent Type S branding. Now down here at the bottom, you have a large opening here to get more air into the engine, and we also have a gloss black splitter, which just gives it a more aggressive look throughout the front. Now coming up here to the headlights next, these are pretty much the same as in the other models. So you have that signature jewel eye look with the new chicane daytime running lights. However, down here you will notice that compared to the A-Spec, you do not have the LED fog lamps. But one of my favorite elements of this exterior has got to be these wheels. These are fantastic looking 20-inch multi-spoke alloys. This is actually your standard option with the Type S. And really the only option you can add to the Type S is going to be a performance wheel and tire package. So if you choose that, you're going to get a different lightweight forged alloy with the Y spokes. It's going to be finished in a similar color, and it's also going to come with summer performance tires. Now let's also talk about the brakes as well. You'll notice we have large red brake calipers. These are 14.3-inch Brembo brakes to obviously slow you down from having all that extra power. Again, prominent Type S branding with the red finish. And then up here you've got the blacked out mirrors. These are going to come with all of the features. So you have blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
So here at the side of the TLX Type S, you're gonna have that signature TLX look that you saw with the redesigned 2021 model. So even though this is a front drive car, this does have very rear drive looking proportions, which, you know, of course goes to compete with stuff like the Audi S4 and BMW M340i. I'm also a big fan that we have red brake calipers here in the rear as well. But coming around to the rear design of the Type S, probably my favorite angle of this vehicle because it just looks so good. The regular TLX has a very nice and elegant look to it, and the Type S just takes it up several notches. So what you're gonna get, we're gonna have a black deck lid spoiler for the Type S. Looks really quite nice. It's actually pretty large too. And if we drop down, we have smoked LED taillights. These are full LED taillights. Even the turn signal and reverse light are LED. Then if we drop below that, on the other side we have Type S branding, and then for this rear diffuser area, this is where you're also probably noticing the big change, and that's that we have quad exhaust outlets, and these are really large diameter exhaust, and they're also active, so they change with the drive modes to give you a really phenomenal exhaust note. Now with the Type S, you are going to have all of your safety system standard equipment. So that's going to be forward emergency braking and pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, and adaptive cruise control with a traffic jam assistant. Well, that's it for the TLX Type S's exterior design. As you can tell, I'm a really big fan of the way this looks. But now let's go ahead and hop on the inside before we take it out in a spin, which I know you're waiting on. And before we do all of that, please hit that subscribe button down below. Give you access to a lot more car content. So if you like cars at all or just want to learn about them, please subscribe.
So walking up to this new Type S, of course you will be greeted with that typical really large and solid feeling Acura key fob, but we do have Type S branding right on the fob itself. And then on the back you will also notice that you have remote start just like the advanced trim. Now to get inside, of course, just reach behind the handle, it will unlock and your mirrors will fold out. All right, and checking out the interior. As you can tell, this is of course the same design as the all-new TLX generation. You do have a lot of special Type S touches inside though as we go along. Now I want to start off by talking about your different color and material options. So of course the Type S is going to throw in a little bit more aggressive sport seat with the bigger bolsters here. As you can see, it is finished in Milano leather, and we have the suede insert that runs through the middle in a color contrast color, as well as the piping. As far as your options, this obviously is the red. You also have the option of black or an exclusive orchid color for just the Type S. Now turning over here to your door trim, you'll see the same red leather up here on the armrest with the black color contrast stitching detail. You have leather above that. The top part is going to be soft touch. And here with the Type S, we have a really nice textured aluminum that runs through here, as well as your real metal speaker grills. You do have 2-person memory seating, and all 4 windows will be one-touch automatic. Of course, you got your aluminum pedals, Type S scuff plate, and then as far as the seats, these are going to have the maximum amount of adjustments. So there's 16-way power adjusting, including power adjusting side bolsters and a power thigh extension. And then, like I was already saying, this is genuine Milano leather with the grippy Alcantara insert right there in the middle. Very comfortable to set in, and they do hold you in place very nicely, especially when you pump up the bolsters. Now, as far as the main part of the cabin design, it is going to be pretty much the same as the other TLX models. So across the upper dash here, this is going to be finished in a soft touch plastic. As we move to this section of the dash, this is all going to be finished in a leatherette material with a red color contrast stitching throughout. As we move down, we'll find more leatherette. You also have these 2 large pieces of this very nice textured aluminum that kind of curve through here. It looks very nice. As we come to the side here, this is not padded, but everything in here does fit together extremely nicely, as you expect from an Acura product. Now to start it up, put your foot on the brake and press the button. Now that was the start up in the normal mode. You do hear just a little bit of growl. Of course, if you want more than that, just start it up with inside of the sport mode or the sport plus mode. That's where you'll really hear that exhaust. But taking a look here at the gauges, as you can see, you do have a sport gauge setup with the white background and the red font. Looks really nice. It's not the full digital setup like you get in the MDX, but you do still have a 7-inch multifunction display right there in the middle, and you can scroll between all the typical expected kinds of information, including things like percent of power going to each wheel. Now I do want to point out that you do not have a head-up display with the Type S. That's still just on the advanced trim level only. Now pulling back here to the steering wheel, we have a very nice looking flat bottom steering wheel. Of course you have a really nice leather wrapping. It is thick rimmed, feels really nice in the hand with the perforated leather over here, the stitching details. You do have Type S branding, of course, and the wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, though it will not be heated. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage, because this is a sports sedan you will use every day. So underneath our center console here, this is very nice and generously sized. Good width to it, a good depth to it. You have a rubber lining down here at the bottom. This is where you'll find your 2 USB ports as well as your 12-volt outlet. And then when we get our ever increasingly thick stack of coupons out, looks like this is going to fit no problem. We're just going to have to fold it over like this and then drop it down on it like so. So no problems there whatsoever. Up in front of that, you have a really nice area here for a cell phone, which is also a wireless phone charging pad on this trim level as well as the lower trim levels. And then you got this little pad right here where you can rest your arm when you're using this touchpad controller, which we'll talk about a little later in the video. Now right next to that, that's where you'll find the volume knob. So the Type S, of course, is going to come with the most advanced audio system you can get in the Acura lineup. That is the 17-speaker ELS 3D sound system. And we're going to go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so wow, just like in the other Acura products that this has been in, extremely impressed by this audio system. It has phenomenal sound quality, just a really great balance between your bass and your treble and your mid-range, and it just fills up this cabin super well. Okay, so above that you have this basically piano black console here, which is going to house your shifter. Of course, this is the typical push button style. So you're just going to press down on D for drive. You can press again to activate the sport mode. You do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, of course. Pulling back on the trigger, it's going to put you in reverse. And when you go into reverse, you're going to be greeted by the regular backup camera. So this is actually shared with the lower trim levels of the TLX, but the advanced model is the only one that's going to come with the 360-degree camera system. You do have parking sensors though. Press the P for park. You do have an electronic parking brake, of course, and a brake hold function next to the button to turn off your auto stop system. Now, of course, I can't forget to mention the gigantic dynamic mode controller for your different drive modes. So the display is up there in the gauges as well as here. You got comfort, normal, sport, and then you have a dedicated Sport Plus mode for this Type S that you can just click over and hold. Each of those modes is going to adjust the exhaust note. And you'll see that later on in the test drive, of course. Now over here with the climate controls, you're going to have a dual zone automatic climate control setup. Very simple functions. All the buttons are physically located right here in this panel. You also will have standard 3-stage heated seats and standard 3-stage ventilated seats, both of which run automatically. And then that brings us up here to our display. So just like with the other new crop of Acura products, this is going to come with the true touchpad interface and a 10.2-inch display. So this does mean you need to use this control pad down here since it is not a touch screen. It uses a one-to-one relationship for you to go through and select different items. We do have a detailed tech help video available if you want to learn in depth how to use this system. But as far as the features I'll point out today, you do have a built-in navigation system as well as built-in Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And then of course you can adjust the ambient lighting, which appears through here and across the door trims. Moving on up, we do have a frameless auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes built into it. And then up here at the roof, of course you have a standard sized moonroof. This will be included. And there is not a panoramic option because that's just not something available on this generation of the TLX.
So here you are joining me in this TLX Type S's rear seat, and this is going to be pretty much no different than a regular TLX back here because, you know, of course, the Type S is all about the performance, which we're about to do in the test drive. But let's go ahead and talk about the space. We have 35 inches of legroom, 36 inches of rear headroom. That does place it right on par with that of the Audi S4 and all the other rivals. And behind rear seat position, I'm looking at probably, I'd say, 4 or 5 inches of legroom with the knee cutouts, and my feet can slide up underneath the seat. And these seats themselves are actually very comfortable. They kind of hug you in place. Now, as far as the features are concerned, we are going to have vents for the Type S. However, I am a little disappointed that there are no USB ports back here, and the Type S is going to miss out on heated rear seats, which is available on the Advance. Not sure why Acura didn't throw that in for this model, but they didn't. And we do have a fold-down armrest with cup holders inside. Coming up to the trunk, in order to open it, all you have to do is look at the button in the right tail light. And once you do, the dampening actually goes ahead and pops it completely open, so pretty much like a power trunk. Now the space itself is going to be 13.5 cubic feet for this TLX Type S. That's going to be right in line with what you're going to get in the rivals. Of course, space is not your number one priority. Now, as far as the finishings, we do have 60/40 split folding seats. I do also want to point out that the cargo hinges are covered, but we're not going to have a spare tire. Now over here at your passenger seat, you are going to have the same adjustments as the driver's. Super nice 16-way. I even have the power thigh extension. That's super nice. We have a 12-volt outlet here on the left side, and then if we open up the glove box, it's not going to be felt lined, but it is nicely dampened, and it can fit our coupons in there just fine. And then up top, we have a sun visor with a mirror as well as a light, and we can detach it and extend. Yeah, nice.
All right. So that right there is the foundation of the Type S, is this exclusive engine. So we've got a new 3-liter turbocharged V6 engine, 355 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque. And that exhaust we were mentioning earlier, I'm sure you can hear that now.
Sounds great. Yes.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, power in this feels really good. Comes on nice and strong. I'm loving of course, the exhaust, but also that I can really hear the turbo in a very pronounced way. That's really cool.
And it also does rev matching as you come to a stop. Yes. So you got to keep in mind that this vehicle does compete with an Audi S4, BMW M340i. So it has some stiff competition, especially when it comes to exhaust sound and the engine. As far as how it's compared to those models, I would say that the Germans do sound a touch better. This is a little bit more subdued, so maybe if you want the more subdued exhaust, the Type S is going to be more your taste, but it sounds really, really good. Compared to a Genesis G70 or a Kia Stinger, this definitely sounds a lot better. But before we get it out on a country road to really talk about the dynamics of the Type S, of course that's where this vehicle shines, I do want to talk about just the everyday livability. This really feels almost no different than the regular TLX, just cruising along. And we have those big 20-inch rims, and just going over bridges and bumps in the road, it soaks it up extremely, extremely well.
Right, this has the adaptive dampers, just like the advanced model, so you are, getting that really nice ride quality in combination with all of the extra performance enhancements.
Yeah, and that's one of the best things about this segment of vehicle is that you have the dual character of flip it into sport mode, you have a lot of fun, but you also have just a really everyday livable vehicle at the same time.
All right, so we've been in sport mode the entire time, and now we're gonna head on out to a little bit of a curvy road here.
Oh, yes. So good.
Yeah, so of course, you're going to have performance enhancements to the chassis and stuff like that. For instance, the front suspension is going to be 40% stiffer. And you can really tell that going around corners. It really corners very flat. This thing is buttoned down, They really have done a great job with this. And this was already a very sporty vehicle. We commented on it when we drove the last TLX, that even though this being a front-wheel drive based vehicle, it still manages to have that rear-wheel drive feel, which is something that does carry on for this Type S. Of course, going out of corners, you can really power out of them because you have super handling all-wheel drive. That's standard equipment. And with a torque split that, like the standard model also has, you send the majority of the power to the rear, so you do get that kind of rear drive bias feel to it, which really just is impressive, because you know, when you have that front drive or front drive based vehicle, you expect that you're going to suffer from a little worse dynamics than something rear drive, but this really pulls it off. So there was some paddle shifts there. Let's talk about the transmission. So this does have a 10-speed automatic transmission, the same as, you know, the other versions of the TLX, but it's not the same, if you know what I mean. They've definitely worked on this transmission to bring it up to snuff for Type S duty. The primary thing is you're going to have 40% quicker shifts, and you can definitely tell that. This really strikes you as a performance transmission when you're behind the wheel. I was using the paddles, snaps off shifts very quickly. As we mentioned, it does have downshift rev matching, which is exclusive to this model as well, and that works whether or not you're using manual when you're in the Sport mode or Sport Plus mode.
Yeah. As far as some more boring stuff, we'll talk about the fuel economy. Since it is all-wheel drive only, it's going to be coming in at 19.25.21 combined, which is pretty decent for something with this much power. And that right there is going to be today's slam dunk, is just the engine, the sound, the power, the refinement. It really nails it with this Type S. This is everything I was hoping it would be, and a little bit more. I'm very impressed with the engine for this.
Yeah, and then since we're talking about the slam dunk, let's talk about the airball. For this, there's just a couple pieces of equipment that are still advanced exclusive that I kind of expected were going to be on this, given the you know, position of this at the top of the lineup, like your 360 camera, your head-up display,
Heated rear seats.
Just a few things. I feel like they should just go ahead and throw them in so that I can have the performance and all the luxury. One more time, Sport Plus mode. So this is the most aggressive you can get. I heard the exhaust get even deeper sounding. This is going to be open up the butterfly valve permanently at all speeds when you put it into this mode.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so we're impressed.
Love it.
I think you can probably tell that at this point. We are impressed by this product. This is really exciting to see Acura, you know, return to form here, putting an emphasis on performance, even in the regular models, but especially now with this Type S. This really is a fun to drive luxury sports sedan that doesn't compromise on your day-to-day things that you need to do, but it's legitimately fun when you pop it into Sport or Sport Plus mode, manual shift, go out on a country road. It really, you know, brings joy to your everyday life. That's exactly what this class of vehicle is gunning for, and this Type S is definitely successful at it.
Well guys, that is all for this in-depth review of the all-new 2021 Acura TLX Type S. Of course, this is a really, really cool vehicle in the Acura lineup, so we're super thankful that we're able to review it. And if you want to help us out, please hit that subscribe button down below. It's completely free to you, and it's going to give you access to a lot more car content. You know, we have cool stuff on the channel like this, and we also have normal everyday vehicles. So whatever you're into, we have it on the channel. So be sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.